Okay, episode 18. Right, here we go. So in the last episode, if I'm correct, we started taking the back end apart. So in this episode, we've only got sort of half a day here, so we'll sort of make as much progress as we can with the vehicle. What I would like to try and achieve, I've got some new brake pipe. I would like to start doing the brake pipes here. However, I may not start those today because we are waiting for a couple of new unions to turn up. I didn't want to reuse the old ones, and they're a specific thread size, and some of them are bigger than the others, so that makes it nice and complex. So we may just leave the front end on its own at the moment. So what we will probably do is, I'm very tempted to start cutting away at this because I would just like to start making some big progress with it. However, I'm not really thinking about, fuck this, episode 18. So where did we finish last time? I'm pretty sure we had just started poking some holes in the back of it and finding plenty of rust. So in this episode, we're going to continue along with the theme of the back end. We've only got half a day today, so we'll see how far we get with it. Would ideally like to cut this section here out, the knackered bit. I'll remake that bit because I don't want to buy a whole rear inner panel for it, so I can make that bit fine. We're waiting on the new new floor panel, the spare wheel well. We're just waiting for that to turn up. What we might do today is, because I'd rather do all the welding in one go, sorry if the quality's not very good under here because it's quite dark, possibly start stripping the back end apart, which will mainly consist of removing the calipers, removing the shock absorbers, removing the springs, and the brake pipes and such along those lines. Possibly strip the rest of this off, because I think this is knackered. Or it might be salvageable, not 100% sure. And I think, as fun as it is having a tailgate here to sit on, this tailgate is absolutely knackered, as is the upper tailgate. So it might make sense to start taking those off, just making accessing the back here a lot easier. As I say, I want to, before I do any major grinding work inside the back of the Range Rover, I'd really like to isolate this section here with some sheeting, just to stop any of the rubbish and dirt and dust getting in our very nice clean floor. So let's just sort of stick it on a time lapse today, see where we end up. Hopefully we make some big progress, but as I say, we've only got a few hours here today, so we'll just get as far as we can. Okay, so as you just saw there, we just pulled out the rear tailgate, but the lower rear tailgate. Luckily, we didn't find too much more troublesome. Obviously, we have realised that the hinge is knackered now. We just found that out, as you can see. And that has actually not even got a pin over here. It's sheared off at some point. And then we just got two washers packing it out. Barry. So yeah, we'll sort that out. We'll have to drill those out. I might do that today. It might be a nice little exercise. Again, this one that's got the pin is in. Or is that actually? Yeah, the pin is in. Luckily, it's only stuck in the barrel of the hinge itself. So worst case scenario, we can cut down the sides of each one and then drift that out on the vise. But I believe that's a lot better to have them stuck in the middle than it is to have them stuck on the chassis. Because that's when you start bending stuff and tailgates don't fit. I had to cut number plate lights. I have no idea how they come out. I spent ages looking at that, took it all apart. Couldn't see any connection there. And also, as you can see, they had previously been cut. So I didn't feel too bad about that. Right, so the tailgate, the reason we're replacing it is quite simple. It's rotten as a pair and it's the incorrect one. So you can see all the way along the whole thing. Let me just grab that torch 2 seconds. There you go, you can see how bad it is. Sorry, it's very dark here. I've got the doors closed because it's really cold today, so there isn't a lot of light in here. But yeah, you can see, I mean, the whole thing's completely toast. I'm not sure, because I know on the earlier ones, these pop rivet down here, these panels, I think. So this has either got a massive load of filler over it, which I think is most likely, or it's a different design. The inside of it's completely toast as well. Absolutely toast. It's completely... It's probably salvageable to somebody who wants to put the time into it, but I'm not going to, probably for the simple fact that it's not the right one for the vehicle. But as you can see, there's a lot of what looks like filler maybe in there. Not too sure, but it goes the whole length of the thing. You can see it's just complete garbage. The only thing we'll keep off that will be the number plate lights, probably. Actually, they're not even the right ones, I don't think, for a earlier Range Rover either. Right, so what was I going to say? Oh, there's another thing. I'm just going to input a photo now. So that was actually photos of this when it was restored in the 80s or 90s, I think Barry said. I'll correct myself with the dates, I'll put them on the photos. But he actually replaced, that's why these goalposts are black, he replaced the rear goalposts, and he also did everything we're doing now. So obviously you can see in that photo there was no tailgate, it looks like it was all done here. That was at the time that this was all repaired all around here, which is quite interesting. And if you think that's interesting, let me just input another photo now. So that photo is actually from 1981, and that's of this Range Rover in Cheddar Gorge, which is just amazing to find stuff like that and to see the vehicle in its original state. And it's quite nice because it still had the original wheels on it, which I really like too. So we will try to recreate that photo at some point in the ownership of this car. But yeah, so for now, what I think we'll do is we'll drill out the rest of these pop rivets here. Oh, sorry, it's really dark now. I'm going to try and get a fixed light in here, I think. So we've got pop rivets here, 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 and here. So we'll rip those out. That's only because I want to take this rubber sealing strip out, because it's, if I'm going to have to get these hinges hot at any point, I don't want to knacker that. And also, I want to replace this panel, and this is sitting on it, and I don't want to bend it and risk knackering it, because I don't know if you can buy them as replacement. And if you can, I would imagine they don't fit, because nothing seems to fit properly on aftermarket stuff. So let me get drilling that out, and then we will carry on the strip down. I think we'll take off the upper tailgate. I'm not sure. I mean, it's more about the fact that it's not a hard thing to remove. It needs replacing, for certain. But I'd like to try and retain the glass, so I might do a rebuild kit on it. Well, look at that, it's actually got moss growing on the inside of it. There you go. So yeah, I might take that off, or I might leave it there, because it's actually not in the way up there, and it's probably the safest place for it. I might crack all the bolts off and just make sure it's loose, so when it comes time to swap it over. But yeah, so let's drill those pop rivets out, and let's have a stab at sorting those hinges out. Looks like we're gonna have a list of things to order, which would be fun. Okay, so, right, hope you enjoyed that fancy little slow-mo footage if I decided to put that in there. I was just putting off actually doing any work today. So, just got to finish off drilling out the rest of these pot rivets. I've never taken one of these off. As everyone knows, I've never actually really worked on a Range Rover before. This not even a new one. Yeah, take those pot rivets out, and then hopefully we'll be able to lift this panel up. I'm not sure if those smaller pot rivets are anything to do with it as well, but let's drill change down. I'll tell you what, if there was a list of tools that I would say if you were taking on one of these Range Rovers, one of the very top ones would be a brand new set of drill bits and a really decent drill. I actually bought these not for this job, but they've actually become completely invaluable now. Oh, there's another one I missed there. Oh, it's interesting, that had a washer pop riveted over it. Nice. Interesting design. Again. As I say, if it was a Ford Capri, I could tell you exactly what's meant to be where and what every screw, clip and trim tag does, but on a Range Rover, I don't. probably why it's a good job I'm doing a Range Rover like this that's actually been mooched around a lot by in its years, because I'm not actually damaging the value, if anything. I'm adding to its value, which is what I really would like to do. Also, just talking slightly about different things while we're doing this. I'm trying to do a bit more of filming while talking, not just so much time lapse. As interesting as time lapses are, I know people sometimes want to feel like they're engaging in the video and the build, which is what I'm just waffling on, basically. Our family have just got themselves quite a nice Defender, a 90 Puma, which is lovely, but obviously every Land Rover needs work on it. So we'll be starting a series on the work on the Land Rover as well. It doesn't need a restoration by any means. It's a Puma 2011 model. It just basically needs little subtle upgrades, modifications, a couple of little bits doing to it. But we'll just do a sort of how-to on each one of those, which would be quite interesting. So right, I'm just going to pull this all apart now, and then we will come back in a minute. So here we go. As you saw, we removed the rear boot floor, which we weren't originally planning to do. However, we needed it for the access for these inboard panels here on both sides. Sorry about the lighting, by the way. It's not the best of lighting at the back of the workshop, but we will try and get a light put in here. Yeah, so basically we removed that so we could do that. We could also do clean all the chassis rails up. We need to replace the fuel lines, which are up there, and we can put some nice clips in. Bits and pieces, just like filler neck, they need sorting out, and that filler neck is rotten all the way through, but it's just going to give us a lot more access. So when we strip things down, we'll actually be able to have a bit more movement around the bits and pieces, and it gives us that prime opportunity to treat and paint that chassis, which is one of those things that really needs doing. And I know we've done it at the front, so we might as well persevere and do it at the back. But yeah, so that's as far as we managed to get in this episode, I'm afraid. I'm sorry about the frequency of the episodes. I've started my seasonal job now, which basically takes up a lot of my free time. So I will try and put episodes out once every week to 2 weeks. But I'll try and make sure that they're longer episodes as and when I do put them out. But yeah, that's all we got time for in this episode. Please consider subscribing, like, share, do whatever the hell you want. Anything that helps the channel grow, that's amazing. But thanks everyone for watching. Hope you enjoyed it.